A dark age, the succession wars. A dark age has engulfed the human sphere, the result of more than 2 centuries of bitter and endless war. Where once a united Star League ruled, five splintered successor states now in a struggle for domination. In their wars, each house seeks a mastery over the others, but none can conquer unaided, and none can be trusted as an ally. Thus, campaign succeeds campaign, battle follows battle, all without lasting victory or defeat. Men die and worlds are smashed, but the wars go on. Along the periphery, thousands of planets have fallen into chaos, savagery, and barbarism. They are ruled by men who are nothing more than thieves and brigands. With each passing decade, we fall further into darkness. Science is forgotten and learning mocked. Once proud universities are either empty or smoking rubble, and things that were child's play for our ancestors are impossible for us. More than 2 centuries have passed since a newly built starship last roamed the sphere, and even the instruments of war grow more primitive, though no less deadly. Our huge war machines, the battle mechs, can no longer be built, and the successor warlords must strip their wrecked machines to find needed spare parts. We have become nothing more than carrion birds feeding on the wreck of our own civilization. Some say the roots of this nightmare lie far in the past. Some say they lie within the soul of man himself. Tamar Tangresker, A Time of Troubles. Weapons of the Succession Wars. The battlefields of the Succession Wars are dominated by the most powerful war machines ever built, the battle mech. They were developed by Terran scientists and engineers more than 500 years ago during the Age of War. These huge man-shaped vehicles are faster, more mobile, better armored, and more heavily armed than any 20th century tank. Equipped with charged particle beams, lasers, rapid-fire autocannons, and missiles, they pack enough firepower to flatten anything but another battle mech. A small fusion reactor provides virtually unlimited power, and the battle mechs can be adapted to fight in environments ranging from sun-baked deserts to sub-zero Arctic ice fields. Tanks and lightly armed jeeps can also be found on the 31st century battlefields. Although they are technologically primitive when compared to battle mechs, they are the most advanced weapons that many worlds in the secession states can manufacture. Tank and jeep units are used as garrisons on planets throughout human sphere. On some worlds, even infantry units may be thrown against attacking battle mech force. During the succession wars, human life is cheap, weapons are expensive. Small, fusion-powered fighters control both the skies and space. The battle fleets of all the successor states are nearly destroyed during the First Secession War, and the ability to construct warcraft able to travel faster than light has been lost. As a result, small aerospace fighters are the first line of defense for any planet under attack, either in orbit or in the atmosphere itself. Soldiers of the Succession Wars, the Mechwarrior Families. The soldiers of the Succession Wars are professionals, members of a hereditary warrior class. After 2 centuries of war, the worlds of the inner sphere can no longer build new battle mechs, and those that are left are patchwork machines handed down from one generation to the next. The military families form a small, powerful elite in the successor states, and they guard their positions with jealous vigor. Their children are raised from birth to be mech warriors. From the time they're old enough to talk, the skills they needed are hammered into them: electronics, mechanical engineering, tactics, and strategy. The high manual dexterity and hand-eye coordination required are developed by drill and by constant practice on electronic simulators. Those who do not measure up are shunted aside to serve the family as mech technicians, estate managers, or household guards. The best are taught to pilot both the battle mechs and the aerospace fighters. They are kept in readiness for the day they will succeed their elders on the battlefield. Over the centuries, the Mechwarrior families have gathered more and more power. By the beginning of the 31st century, most own large estates supported by large numbers of servants. Colonels and captains are correspondingly richer, and the regimental commanders are often own estates worked by thousands of civilians. Many have been made nobles by the successor warlords. In return from their privileges and wealth, the mech warrior families guarantee protection to their tenants, swear allegiance to their officers, owe fealty to one of the five successor warlords. Mercenary families give their loyalty only to the regimental officers. The dispossessed. Despite their wealth and power, a mech warrior's family position is always precarious. It rests solely on their battle mechs, and these war machines must be risked time and time again in combat. Disaster on a distant battlefield can strip away a family's lands and prestige in a single instant. Those whose mechs are lost fall into the ranks of the dispossessed. The dispossessed regard themselves as members of the warrior class, but they are scorned by warriors with battle mechs and hated by the ordinary folk they once governed. They have no place in society. Every child of the dispossessed is raised with one overriding ambition: to regain full status as a mech warrior by capturing a battle mech. Many of them offer their services as technician to one of the Mechwarrior families, hoping that years of hard labor will be rewarded with a captured mech. Others volunteer as infantry, taking desperate chances while looking for that lucky shot that will kill a battle mech without wrecking it. Some wander through the sphere as adventurers and treasure seekers, always looking for hidden catch League weaponry or other high-tech equipment. The successor warlords prefer to recruit their spies and scouts from among the dispossessed, who are perfectly suited to these roles. Because of the dispossessed are both desperate and ambitious, they will do almost anything in order to regain their place among the elite. The warlords. Each of the 5 successor states is ruled by a family descendant from one of the original council lords of the Old Star League. All 5 royal houses claim the title of First Lord, and all have been at each other's throats since the beginning of the succession wars. Their battleground is the sphere of the star systems that were once occupied by the 7 member states of the Old League. The successor warlords have long since abandoned the vast territorial states once ruled by the League's First Lord and High Council. House of Devon. Ruler Hans Devon, called the Fox, Prince of the Federated Sons, Duke of the New Avalon, and the victor at Halstead Station. The House of Devon has become the most powerful of all the successors' houses. Although nearly defeated by Karaita in the First Succession War, the Devon armies have rallied and drove Karaita's forces back across the border. In 2 centuries since, skillfully conducted military campaigns and subtle diplomacy have enabled House Devon to double its number of star systems under its control. Hans became the Lord of Devon after his older brother's death in the Battle of Mallory's World. At 42, he is the youngest of the 5 successor warlords. Enemies and friends alike call him the Fox, and his reputation for carefully crafted intrigue is well deserved. It is believed that his agents have been responsible for several of the rebellions that have plagued the House of Merrick in recent years. House Devon's position is threatened by the ambitions of his brother-in-law, Michael Hassett Devon, the Duke of New Citrus. The Duke commands a large number of troops, and he has grown increasingly restive under the authority of the young prince. There are rumors that he has concluded a treasonable pact with Maximilian Liao, the ruler of the Capellan Confederation. The House of Devon is now loosely allied with the House of Steiner against a coalition formed by the houses of Karaita, Liao, and Merrick. It is believed that Hans plans to marry Melissa, Katrina Steiner's daughter and chosen successor. The House of Karaita. Ruler Takashi Karaita, coordinator of the Draconis Combine, Duke of Luthien, and the Unifier of Worlds. More than 2 centuries ago, Mechwarrior Karaita was the first of the 5 surviving members of the High Council to declare himself the First Lord of the League. He was assassinated on Kantaris IV during an offensive against House Devon, and his son Genjiro ordered his troops to bathe the accursed Kantaris in blood. 50 million people were butchered, and the infamous Kantaris massacre made the Karaita name both feared and despised by all of the successor states. In the years since the First Succession War, the House of Karaita has lost territory along its border with the Federated Sons, but it has been able to capture a number of strategic star systems from the House Steiner. Recently, however, the House Devon and Katrina Steiner have begun coordinating their offensives against the Combine. In response, Katisha Karaita has formed an alliance with Janos Merrick and Maximilian Leo. Takashi was named coordinator of the Draconis Combine more than 20 years ago after his father was killed by one of his own household guards. Rumors that Takashi was responsible for the murder were stamped out in a series of brutal purges. His position is now secure, and the remaining nobles of the Combine appear loyal. The House of Steiner. Ruler Katrina Steiner, Archon of the Learned Commonwealth, and the Duchess of Tharkat. Despite a number of humiliating defeats in the succession wars, the House of Steiner remains powerful because of its control over several old League's most important worlds, including the Battletech manufacturing plants on Hesperus II. Although the factories themselves were thoroughly gutted during the First War, several maintenance facilities, storage depots remained intact. Naturally, the Hesperus system has been the target of countless offensives by all four other houses. Katrina Steiner distinguished herself while commanding a battle mech regiment during the 10th Battle of Hesperus, and after the abdication of her uncle Acelando, she was elected as Archon of the Commonwealth. While maintaining a claim of her house to the title of the First Lord, Katrina has urged a reconciliation among the successor houses. Her proposals have been rejected out of hand by the houses of Liao, Merrick, and Karaita. She has survived at least 4 assassination attempts, 2 of which were known to have been orchestrated by members of her own family. Her daughter Melissa has been chosen as the Archon designate. The House of Merrick. Ruler Janus Merrick, Captain General of the Free Worlds League and Duke of Artrius. The House of Merrick rules a territory troubled with frequent war and disorder. Since Janus Merrick assumed power as Captain General, 2 of his brothers and several of his military commanders have rebelled against his authority. They've all been crushed, but only after costly and time-consuming campaigns. As a result, Merrick has little opportunity to lead his troops in battle against other houses. Recently, emissaries from Takashi Karaita have convinced him that House Devon is responsible for the civil strife within his realm. Consequently, the Captain General has joined Karaita and Liao in an uneasy coalition. In truth, however, Janus Merrick is himself to blame for much of the disorder of the Free Worlds League. Though it is obviously impossible, he's tried to administer all of his far-flung territories from the court on Atreus. Naturally, this has alienated many of the powerful dukes throughout his territory. They resent his attempts to usurp their power, and many of them trust him less than they do the other 4 successor lords. The House of Liao. Maximilian Liao, the Chancellor of the Capellan Confederation and Duke of Siam. Maximilian Liao is the leader of the weakest of the 5 successor houses. 2 centuries of war and near constant defeat have stripped the Confederation of half its territory and many of its most valuable systems. Liao believes that his battle mech regiments are not capable of fighting a prolonged offensive war against any other house, and especially not against House Devon's troops. However, Liao is convinced that he holds the balance of power among the other successor states, that he can emerge from the chaos of a general war as the first lord of a new Star League. As a result, he has joined Karaita and Merrick in an alliance directed primarily against House Devon. In addition, his agents have been busily trying to persuade Michael Hasek Devon, the Duke of New Citrus, to betray his liege lord. Liao believed to have offered to recognize Michael as a legitimate prince of the Federated Sons in exchange for his support against loyal Devon garrisons along the border.